of that leaderboard is Yelahosa, that had himself a day yesterday as he had a dramatic and dominating finish in event number 3. 100 points to end the day to put himself on top of the leaderboard, but not by much, as it is a close race at the top, tied at 267. Yelahosa getting the tiebreaker over Lazar Jukic, with Henrik Hypalainen just doing what he does and sneakily being awesome here at the European semifinal. Event number 4, 400, 600, 800 on the row, 96, 120, and a 72-foot handstand walk to finish. Your steps to success.
So we've seen heat after heat how important that row is. It's how hard can you push on the row and still keep the pace on the handstand walk.
Your lane assignment, your top 10 men after 3 events and 3 events left to go. Michael Smith, down in lane number 10, is trying to make it back to the CrossFit Games since 2019.
Yeah, interestingly, Mickey Smith actually took a step away from competitive CrossFit at the end of this time last year, but it's interesting to see how well he's doing without that kind of self-imposed pressure.
Stand by.
4th and final heat, individual event number 4 underway. 10 athletes on the rower. Can anyone take the time to beat set by Victor Hoffer? Win a CrossFit World Tour, visiting CrossFit gyms around the globe. Create an account, scan the QR code now, or visit hustleup-app.com to enter. That's all it takes. The drawing will take place on June 20th, 2024. We've seen 7 total heats of this, including the women, as Luka Jukic is trying to qualify for the CrossFit Games with his brother Lazar. We know it comes down to the row, but you still got to be consistent on the handstand walk. Luka Jukic, 9th overall after 3 events. 3 events left to go today.
Yeah, and he'll be looking to climb into a much more comfortable position in these 3 events. No one wants to be, you know, in that bottom kind of 2, 3 in the leaderboard where every event is sort of touch and go as to how the people around you do it. You want to take that away from the athletes and have that control for yourself.
Boz, you've seen 7 heats so far. How are we squeezing out faster and faster times as this keeps going on?
Well, it turns out that to be at this level, you have to be really, really good, Chase, and they just keep showing us that, and that's exactly what we want to see.
Victor Hoffer sets the time to beat. Out of the gates, like a cannon in lane number 3 is Harry Lightfoot. He's trying to make it to the CrossFit Games for the very first time as he's holding up the field here in heat number 4.
Oh, and a bit of a mistake from Hosta there. He tried to be fancy and do the entire stretch by turning around and not coming down, but he slipped up and then had to come down, costing him some seconds there. So that's a mistake. We'll see how much that costs him in the end.
Athletes racing to the rower, Harry Lightfoot. On to the 600-meter row. He's on pace that Victor Hoffer had, right around 145, 146. Lazar Jukic on the left side of your screen, tied at the top of the leaderboard in points with Yelahosa, as Colin Bossard is trying to hold on to that top position. More on Luka Jukic, Lazar's brother. Let's go down to Lauren Smith.
They're a wonderful Serbian twosome, aren't they? Now, for Luka, he was always concerned about event number 2 with the front squats, and rightly so. A 34th place finish wasn't ideal, but he's paired it with 2 top 5s. And this workout, he does think is going to play to his favor. But he's most excited about the snatch events. He's had some really unbelievable consistency in the off-season, hitting 130 kilos, or that's 287 pounds to you Americans. So today maps out really well for him.
Lazar Jukic on the right, Luka Jukic on the left. They want nothing more. And Lazar definitely wants nothing more in his career than to have a trip back to the CrossFit Games alongside his brother.
Yeah, it's interesting. You just watch Lazar's technique on the row there. Sometimes you see him resting his triceps on his legs. That can just help take it off your back a little bit if you're feeling it. I do that sometimes, and it's probably a bad habit, but it definitely works.
We had fireworks in Heat 3 as the hometown hero, Victor Hoffer, set the time to beat at 7:30.06, hand in the air. Hands all in the air for the 600-meter row, designated 100 meters left.
This is going to be a tight race, Chase. Everybody is just right next to one another here.
3:52 was the time split from Victor Hoffer, and ahead of that is Harry Lightfoot.
He's doing a really good pace as well of keeping that momentum going on the handstand walk. So it'll be all on that last 800 meters as to whether or not this prevails to be an event win.
This is where that handstand walk can really be a factor. While it's not the most significant time sink of this event, you do have to be accurate and consistent because the little things will add up. And we saw that. Again, Hosta making that mistake in the first round. You have to have a clean run here to put yourself in position to be in contention for one of those top spots, even if it's not the most significant factor.
4 athletes onto the rower for the biggest part of this event, an 800-meter row. And Boz, as you said, one costly mistake on the handstand walk could be 3 to 5 seconds lost. There's nothing I want less than to try to make up that time in the only place I can, and that's this row.
Oh, 100%. And trying to make that 3 to 5 seconds up on the row is just going to put you in the hole that much more and make it that much more likely that on the next handstand run, you're going to make a mistake or just be gassed out to the point that you can't be as good as you thought you might have been.
The time to beat 7:30 set by Victor Hoffer in heat number 3. Harry Lightfoot, your current leader in this heat. He was 2 seconds off the pace coming to the row. The time to look for, 7:10 was the time it took Victor to come off the rower. Now Victor, as you can see, the pace by Harry Lightfoot, that's what he needs to do. Victor Hoffer was rowing at a 1:42 average pace on his 800. Harry Lightfoot is not going to be as fast as Victor on his hands, so he has to do it here on the row.
Yeah, exactly. And every second per 500-meter difference is a second coming off of that erg. So it's going to be really important for him to be able to maintain this pace. We might see it start to drop off towards the last kind of 50 meters. Sometimes that's intentional so that they can try and bring their heart rate down a little bit and have a good transition.
Harry Lightfoot, your leader in this heat, your leader overall on the leaderboard. Jelle Hosta also rowing at that sub 140 pace, flirting with 138 as he has 300 meters left to go.
And obviously, as towards the end of me talking there, we started to see Harry's monitor go up towards, you know, the 140 kind of mark. If Jelle can hold this 138 pace, he wasn't that far behind Harry getting onto his hands.
Yeah, and you got to think that the row's going to favor Jelle Hosta just a little bit here with the body that he's got. He's a long athlete. Each stroke, he's able to get just a little bit more distance out of it. So this is stacking up well for him in this final round.
Your top 10 athletes after 3 events, battling it out on the row. A couple 100 meters left to go, waiting for the first hand to go in the air, and there it is. 6:55 on the clock, 100 meters left for Harry Lightfoot.
And again, we've got Victor Hoffer coming off the rower in the previous heat at 7:10. Let's see who can beat that.
Past the 7:10 mark, so it's going to be close. Lazar Jukic is off the row.
This is tight.
4-man race. 72 feet. Jelle Hosta
picking up the pace.
7:30 on the clock. That's going to stand.
Oh, we are neck and neck.
Here comes Jelle Hosta. Hosta takes the heat. Harry Lightfoot forward roll. We have to go to this. And it looks like by 0.3 of a second, Jelle Hosta takes Harry Lightfoot.
Wow. And the rest of the pack coming on strong here, too. Don't forget, we've got a lot of times that have come in between that 7:30 and 8 minute. So all of these seconds matter for these athletes.
I'm laughing because that was absolutely ridiculous.
The entire heat in sub-8.
That was chaos.
Jelle Hosta was last off the row between the 4. Lazar Jukic absolutely blasted that to get ahead of Harry Lightfoot. But the last thing I would have thought that Yellow Hosta would have passed everybody on the handstand walk.
Impressive. And again, with that early mistake in round 1, I mean, he could have been a couple seconds faster with a clean run. So it just goes to show how important execution is on this event.
And to that point, Boz, 7:35.62 unofficially for Yellow Hosta, 7:30.60 for Victor Hoffer. And that one misstep on the handstand walk could have been the difference between another event win for Yellow Hosta.
Wow.
And that's the thing, though. It's not just the misstep. It's and the impact that that has on your confidence going into every time you go into the next handstand walk. You be a little bit more cautious, and that's then potentially the 5 seconds difference. So we saw Harry Lightfoot coming out hot. And to be fair to him, he managed to hold on. He was super confident in his handstand walks, and he was right up there until the end. And then this was the finish. Everyone was pretty much off within a couple of seconds with each other. Hand race. And Yellow Hosta just with, you know, you see him pumping the legs. That might have been one of the things that helped him to keep that momentum going right towards the end.
You can see it. He could taste it at the end there. Those last couple of sections, he really put the jets on to get across the line first.
That roll from Harry, though, he nearly got him with the chip timer.